Eschatology is the study of the end times, or the end events of history. It is the subject of this hat right here, and it is one of the most important things that you must get right about your theology, because how you view the end of the world will determine and influence how you behave today inside of the world. And it's very important because both modern Christianity and Islam foundationally get eschatology wrong. And it is for that reason why I today am going to prove in less than 5 minutes how both modern Christianity and Islam are debunked at this very foundational theological standpoint. First, let's get something straight. Nowhere in the Bible, in the Old Testament, in the Tanakh, or the New Testament, does it mention an end of history. It literally mentions the opposite. So how in the hell did we as modern Christianity or Islam get this concept of the end of history and the end of time when the Bible literally does not give that concept? We get that from a lack of understanding of audience relevancy. We are reading this book, the Bible, as if we are the subject of who the Bible is being written to. No, we're not. We're not the Jews. We come 2,000 plus years after the entire story has already played out. And so to understand what is being written in the Bible, the concepts that are trying to be explained in the Bible, you have to understand who, in the first place, is the Bible being written to. How would they have understood it? This is the thing that modern Christianity and Islam do not understand about the Bible. Now, you will see mentioned in the Tanakh, specifically by the prophets Daniel, Hosea, Isaiah, Malachi, you will see the concept of the last days, or the end of the age, the end. And what that is specifically referring to is the end of pre-Messianic Old Covenant Israel. If you do not understand that, you will read the hyperbolic language that the Jews very commonly use throughout the Old Testament, and you will interpret it to mean the end of the world. The Old Testament prophets, Daniel, Isaiah, Malachi, gave a very clear picture and understanding of how and when the events of the last days would come. And you know what accompanies that? The coming of the Messiah. And so you cannot separate the coming of Jesus Christ into the world from the judgment, the end that is spoken of by the Old Testament. Go read Daniel 9. There is no difference between the end that he describes versus the same end that is talked about by all the other Old Testament prophets. This is the same event in history that all of them are talking about. And we don't even get the term, the day of judgment, until Jesus Christ is actually physically on the scene. What he's speaking of directly, if you read Luke 21, he's talking about the judgment of 70 AD. So Jesus is speaking of the day of judgment as an actual day that does not end history, that actually happened in the past. Then where in the world does Islam get this concept of Judgment Day that you see literally all throughout the Quran? Surah Al-Baqarah, it's literally everywhere. Judgment Day. Where does it get this concept if Judgment Day has actually already happened? What Islam does is it hijacks that concept. It hijacks the same revelation that was given to the children of Israel. It says that it is finishing that revelation, and then it completely distorts the picture of what that revelation actually is. So if the Quran and Islam truly understood the revelation of the children of Israel and the revelation given to Jesus that they claim to be the Injil, they would not be trying to complete a story that's already completed. They say that Prophet Muhammad is the seal of the prophets. Again, you would not be trying to complete a story that's already completed if you understood it. All of the Old Testament prophets, Daniel, Hosea, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, all of these guys are not mentioned by Islam or the Islamic prophets. Why is that? See, Islam and Muslims don't understand that the Torah, whatever was given to Moses didn't speak very extensively about the Messiah. You don't get that concept until the prophets, the same prophets that Islam rejects or doesn't talk about in its entirety. So again, Islam has no ground to stand upon if it's going to take concepts like the Messiah, like Judgment Day, and then completely disregard the books and the prophets where these same concepts originated. It doesn't mean that modern Christianity has it right either. For the majority of modern Christianity, they believe that Jesus Christ's second coming is still in our future. So they reject what happened in 70 AD. And then also amongst that, they believe that we still have to go to Jesus Christ for salvation today, when that was not the whole point. If you read Revelation 19, if you read the parable of the wedding feast, it will become very clear that the door through Jesus is now shut once he has returned, which was in the first century. That means that we all have to turn to God omnipotent, which was the whole point from the beginning. The whole point was not about Jesus Christ being the center of it all. The point was reconciling us back to God. And because Jesus Christ has already come back, we are reconciled to God. We can go directly to God. We don't have to go through the door of Jesus anymore. Now it is the testimony of Jesus Christ that is the spirit of prophecy used for the healing of the nations. That's the whole point of what God was doing through Christ. It was not so that everyone needs to turn to Christ for all of time. It was so that through Christ, through one generation, God would restore everything back to himself. That's why Revelation mentions it is now God omnipotent who reigns forever and ever. This debunks everything that the churches talk about. So then the answer is to follow neither modern Christianity or Islam, but it is simply to seek God omnipotent for yourself and for your own life.